All right, we're back. So this topic, I kind of wanted to talk about self-centeredness and selfishness and, self-prioritization because I feel like that's a specialty that I have, which is becoming very apparent to me. And I'm kind of trying to figure out whether or not that's a good or bad thing, because, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with putting yourself first in some situations because you should do that. I feel like that's kind of just, self-care, self-love, like, for example, I don't think you should, like let's say you're starving, right? Let's say you're starving, okay? And there's a long line at Subway, and you're in line at Subway, and there's a long line, and I don't even know where I'm going with this. I thought I was gonna cook. Okay, never mind. But, yeah, like basically, I don't know. Basically, I've been having these thoughts because I feel like I am very selfish sometimes because of how people react to some of the things I do and say, and I'd like to say I have no filter. Relatively. Obviously, I know kind of when to shut up sometimes. Not every time. Sometimes I go a bit too far. But, it's all out of love. Like I bully out of love. But yeah, this whole self-centeredness thing. And here's another thing. I feel like it ties into a money thing. So I've been told many times that I'm not a nice person. Nobody's ever told me. My sister said some things where I said something that seemed completely normal to me, and she was like, "That's really selfish." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe," but the way I think about it, I'm like, it's kind of just, sometimes you got to do stuff for yourself, right? I'm trying to be insightful so bad here, bro. I can't but I didn't want to do bullet points or anything like that. I kind of want to do this off the cuff because I talk to myself like this all the time. Because talking to yourself, you should be talking to yourself. That's the best way to understand yourself. It's kind of like, boom. And kind of prevents loneliness because you can have your own two little characters. I don't actually do that. I'm saying you can. But yeah, if you couldn't tell, I get a little schizo sometimes. Well, just touch of the tism. To quote Ethan on everything. Go follow him. Subscribe to him, by the way. Ethan on everything. He's the GOAT because he talks about everything. But yeah. And dude. Okay, so basically, yeah. I just feel like I'm a selfish person. And I don't know how to change that. I feel like I'm a nice person, but I've also been told I'm a mean person. But then I see people who are described as nice people do some really fucked up shit. And I'm like, so then what is it? It's like just constantly blurring the lines. And everyone has their own definition of nice, good, bad, evil, selfish, whatever. But I feel like the odd one out in a way where I'm like, okay, but it makes sense to do that for yourself as opposed to putting all your stuff aside just for this one thing that really isn't that important for someone else, And that's not a bad thing. You can do that if you want. But I'm just saying, if you have something that should be taking priority, but you're making someone else your priority, that's not healthy in my opinion. I feel like you should have some self-respect and be able to put yourself first, be able to tell someone no. That's something. I feel like, because my sister who told me that I can be that I was selfish, I consider her like an overly nice person, and I hate overly nice people. There's this lady I work with. She's a really sweet lady. She's like, like mid-40s, very Southern girl, and it's like, She's always says thank you to everything I do. And we have the same, like we're both cashier at the job, so we do the same stuff, right? And she says thank you to literally everything I do. And I'm like, look, it's cool, I guess. It's not inherently a bad thing. But I don't know, I feel like you say thank you enough, it kind of loses its meaning. I don't know. But yeah, but then again, I also just hate repetition. Like when people repeat stuff to me, I hate that so much. I also don't like being told what to do. I don't know, bro. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any specific examples. If I could come up with one, I would. But, like from my life of where I consider myself to have been selfish. But still, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Put your thoughts down below. Yeah.